All right, welcome to today's episode of the program, The Law of the People and Governance, here on Spectrum Television. My name is Rachel David White. This is a program that exists to bridge the gap between the government. Today on the program, we'll take a look at police brutality, of course, the lessons learned from the last NSAS protest that killed so many innocent Nigerians. We remember the day that Nigerians took it upon themselves to express what they felt. Okay, it was like them coming out to say enough is enough. We've had a whole lot, but it seems that we're still having these issues coming up again. Of course, we had different cases of police manhandling civil servants, or would I say people on the road, not just civil servants, people on the road, a whole lot of issues. So this is what we are going to take a look at today, and Odogu is already on standby to talk to us about the recent development in the Nigerian police force. But before then, I also like to tell you that this program is a program that calls for contributions and comments from the audience as well. So feel so that we can address to some of those issues. Have you had any complaint since the new reform where we had the SARS? Yeah, we had that faction of the police called SARS. Of course, it was reformed and something else added to it, and a whole lot of them suspended, and the whole thing was reformed all over again. But let's get to know, what are those things you feel should be changed? What are those complaints you have? Bring them to the fore, bring them to the limelight. Let's take a look. We'll go on a short break. When we come right back, we'll talk better. Just stay tuned.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry.
So the Nigeria will gather at a hotel and suites for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and excellence in the broadcast media. Voting starts on 20th April and ends on 4th May 2023. Visit www. Is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by Muslim. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Ibro.
He did not.
My lord, the matters counsel is leading there. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security. From 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Still the program, The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. And I already told you today we're taking a look at the lessons learned in the past NSAS protest. I also asked for you. Recently, authorities of the Nigeria Police Force demoted the policeman caught on video assaulting a motorist in Rivers State. The officer Adejo Saika was demoted from the rank of inspector to sergeant, after which he followed with two slaps to the victim's face while the latter was demanding his offense. Other gun-bearing policemen were present at the scene, but none of them made any effort to restrain their colleagues from further assaulting the man. Meanwhile, a female and so many things had happened. Now, following public outcry, the police had said the case would be investigated and later unveiled the identities of the police involved. And the force public relations officer Olumiyiwa Adejobi said in a statement on Tuesday that Saika's demotion followed an orderly room trial by a force provost marshal. Adejobi said Sergeant Ndiwa was also present at the scene but took no steps to discourage the inappropriate from the scene, was discharged unconditionally at the conclusion of the proceedings. In all, the 3 policemen will be posted out of Rivers State to other commands and formations to continue their police duty. And the Inspector General of Police tasked officers and men of the force to be diligent and uphold with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Well, with all of this, recently Delta State Police Command took swift action by dismissing one of their own inspector Obiebri for allegedly killing Oila Road in Asaba, the Delta State capital. And according to reports, Ibe was killed for allegedly refusing to give a bribe of 100 naira. Deceased was identified as a phone seller in a popular market in the state. After being shot, he was rushed to the Federal Medical Center in Asaba, to the streets of Asaba, parading the victim's corpse in protest. And upon investigation, Inspector Obiebri was identified as the perpetrator of the heinous act and was subsequently arrested by the command. So, in a statement released, the suspect had been dismissed from the police force. If we want to take a look at all these issues that have been trailing, and then we want to link it back to the NSAS protest, what really caused the NSAS protest? What are the lessons we had learned from the NSAS protest? And our guest is on standby to talk to us concerning this case today in the person of Dr. Charles Odogu. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Richard. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Doctor, a very brief one. I'd like us to just take a look at a review of the NSAS protest that took place all around the country. But at the Lekki Toll Gate, it was something to remember, something that Nigerians will never, ever forget. In fact, it remains a big protest.
Okay, we all witnessed the NSAS protest, and it started like a joke and gradually built up to something that, like you said, would, the pains that Nigerians have suffered in the hands of officers of the police force and so many other grievances, that came together, and it was dramatic in such a way that a lot of persons have had these experiences individually and were keeping them to themselves. Protest. It was as if we all came to realize that we've been suffering this same police brutality in every part of Nigeria, among every age group, not just instances of police brutality here and there, all over the country. And the rage was so much that it almost got out of hand. So that was basically what led to the NSAS protest.
Okay, now let's take a look at the demands. Could not come out to say it until, something can't just take place once and then you immediately jump up to complain. It had piled up, okay, over the years until Nigerians could not bear it anymore. They came out to say, we need a reform. We need this particular group of people called SARS. You need to look into their affairs. You need to check the way they handle people, the way they handle people on the streets. And already man was said to have shot a man who refused to give him 100 naira bribe. So this event is taking place, and then first we must also appreciate that the Nigerian police force, of course, the Inspector General of Police is working hard, unlike before, is doing great. So how do you see this move? Okay, because so far
I would just commend the leaders of the Nigerian police force on how they're beginning to ensure that when incidences like this are recorded, that justice is seen being done, saying that such officers are appropriately punished. Leaves the message that the police force is awake and also against such activities. The immediate post answer police force has been reformed, or that they've learned their lesson from the NSAS protest. But somehow, as time went, it appears to me like the lessons that were learned from the protest, it's like maybe it's because monitoring is not really very efficient in the system, because you see some of these police officers, maybe on the roads, especially in the southeast, extorting drivers and other road users with impunity. They don't care who is officers for misconduct, and make it clear that they are not in support of any of these harassments that come from them. It will begin to shaping their conduct.
Demands of the people during the NSAS protest, and then also link it to the welfare of this police personnel, because sometimes you get to find, I don't know about now, but there were times when you get to talk to them or scold them, maybe see if they are going to feel they have done something bad, okay? Because sometimes they ask for this bribe morning for my morning duties, sometime last year and even year before last, and then maybe you get to a checkpoint and they stop the vehicle in asking for a bribe, and the person says, oh, I just stepped out, this is my first ride in the morning, and they're like, you have to park there, that's none of my business. So it becomes their rights, their entitlement, this is how it's supposed to be. So does it have anything to do with their welfare?
That they are getting the best of welfare. But I would say that there's nothing that can justify the act of extortion. I mean, like you said, they've made it a culture. It's now a norm. Every vehicle that is crossing their checkpoint, especially in certain parts of the country, like you noted, the killing of a 26-year-old in Delta State, over 100 naira. A lot of things like that, and you begin to wonder: does it mean that this is what they learn in the police academy, or is just is that coming from? And then, is there no way this can be documented? Is there no way to get these people to book? Some people even say that there's a possibility that the chief are also aware of the activity, and that's why they do it against the police. It was just an outcry and a demand for a better society for everyone, better welfare for officers. I mean, but the evil culture of assuming that extorting a fellow Nigerian just because you're on uniform and bears an arm is a normal thing, and so much eating into the force that it will take extreme measures of monitoring and evaluation of the activities of these officers to bring it to an end.
Okay.
Sometimes,
can you hear me?
This road in the broad daylight, extorting road users.
Hello. Okay,
hello,
I think we're having. Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. I think we're having some network issues, but I can hear you now. Now, talking about not just the Delta State Police Command, the Inspector General of Police as a whole. Okay, the swift action taken by them to curb these issues. Don't you think it shows that they will not tolerate any form of misconduct or unlawful behavior from their officers, and also sends a strong message to the public that the police will always ensure that justice is served? I mean, this is a crime perpetrated by, I would say, 5 out of 10.
I would say that they've done well in making sure that the matter in a way that Nigerians are satisfied with it. What we want should be appropriately so that the public will continue to have that confidence in the Nigerian police force, and the public will continue to believe and support the Nigerian police. So when you look at it, you see that, for instance, if something like that happens and there's no video to put it on social media and raise the needed hype going on daily basis, nothing. And because nobody gets to really pick on it and make a case with the social media and all of that, you realize that nothing happens at the end of the day. So I'm saying they've done well in that particular instance. I brought to book so that the bad eggs in the system will be fished out, because I don't believe that it's a thing for all of them. I believe that they are persons out. They mustn't wait for the public or the social media to begin to trend such incidents before they will act. I mean, they should have an internal officers who are perpetrating this act.
Well, with the recent trend, okay, we've been having these stories here and there. With the recent trend, do you foresee, a protest or an event like NSAS take place again in Nigeria? Considering the fact that if you want to check...
Well, I believe there's been a promise to meet all those demands.
We've always had a promise in Nigeria. If you want to talk about promise, we've always had a promise. We've always had assurances that things would be done. And at the end of the day, I think implementation of policy is actually a very strong issue that we have in Nigeria.
Implementation sometimes might be slower than expected, right? But I would say that even if we are not getting 100% results, we should be seeing 100% effort towards this brutality and all of that, towards settling and resettling victims of police brutality across the country and all of that. And we expect it to peak at a point that shouldn't be so long from now. Because when people see that justice has become another, it was a build up of pain and anger from the public that culminated to what we now know as
the NSAS protest.
And one way to ensure we don't get that level is to show 100% effort. When we see the police force doing everything to bring the trust of the public and their reputation in the public is nice, then there's any need for such protest. And ultimately, bringing good governance would,
things like that. In what aspect?
In the aspect of the justice system, poverty, education and healthcare and all of that. When people are looking at fellow countrymen serve themselves instead of the people, these are some of the things that begins to build up the venom in the society. I mean, you see your minister of health going abroad for health to get good health care. You'll be looking for an opportunity to express. We're in a situation where the economy is sound and people are able to afford their basic needs. People are able to access good health care. People are able to access into engage in such upright hunger.
Doctor, Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I know that the Nigerian police force, not just the Nigerian police force, other security agencies are a place where one doesn't really need to get, higher qualifications. I mean, contribution or contributing factor to why we have issues like this.
Certainly, because the more you know, the less aggressive you will become. When you interact or have a with some of the police officers, wonder where they got in from. That is one thing the Nigerian police force must pay attention to. The more complex, the system more alive. It should be, I mean, above average, if not the best in the society. I don't know. I am making a point. We should pay attention to the kind of persons that get into the police force. They should be police force because I mean, you don't expect somebody who cannot even police himself to police others. So to building a very thing, a very enlightened police team that can do the job. Because you can't like bring someone who cannot police himself to police the public. That's bigger than the answers.
Okay, but aside from the whole issue, do you think that, okay, let me put it this way, aside from the disbandment, official disbandment of any concrete achievement that was made or difference that was made?
Well, I wouldn't know exactly how far they've gone, but the fact that
at least judging from, and then you may have got into a conversation or heard reports of things happening around, judging from that time when SARS was, officially dissolved, have you seen anything, any major change in the Nigerian?
Like I said, the government was an immediate response, which to a very great extent, doused the tension in the society at that time, and it continues. There are measures and policies that are on course at the moment, but like I said, I don't know how far they've gone in terms of implementation.
Okay, but would you link the misconduct to the leadership style
of the police force? I feel is the challenge there is the area of monitoring, because sometimes it's just as if some of these officers are sent out to different locations, and then there's no way in which the activities are evaluated or monitored. They get to their duty post, at the king with the rifle and with your phone recording, they can even destroy the phone and all of that. I feel that there is really no way that officers who are sent out are checkmated, are monitored, right? And this is usually where the confidence of doing what they do come from. Because some of them, once you mention that the IT will hear of this or the authorities will hear of this, they will immediately, that you really don't have the contact or the connection. They can even tell you to you can go and meet whoever you want.
Okay, right? We'll come back to the monitoring aspect, okay? What would it take to have or forge a civil related, maybe relationship between the police and the civilians they are supposed to protect. Some people have blamed civilians too far for their manhandling in the hands of police officers. Maybe the relationship, the way they relate with police officers may have led to them being manhandled. I know that there are some people who would either try to, disobey the police commands on the road or feel they know too much, and that's the point.
Well, on that, I would say that, like I said, it all boils down to monitoring. For instance, I've had personal experiences, where you meet the police officers and for reasons best known to them, they will begin to act funny. But the moment they will immediately revert to their proper conduct. So if there can be a way of, I know that in some places in the world, the police officers are now wearing body cameras and all of that, such that at any point in time, your conduct as a police officer is monitored and checkmated. Right? So
Okay, that's the question I wanted to ask. How do you think they can be monitored? You anchored on people videoing them, and once they know they're being videoed or there are footages to prove that, oh, this actually happened, they would actually conduct themselves well or feel remorseful about their actions. How do you think that they can actually be properly monitored in order to checkmate their excesses on the road?
With body cameras. I'm telling you that
who is going to provide the body cameras? Who is going to make it compulsory? I mean, you're giving me a body camera to monitor myself. So am I going to or other officers or something?
No. You have the body camera to monitor you.
Okay.
Just the same way they have rifles. The same people that provided rifles for them should provide body cameras for them. The moment they realize that in this my interaction with this person 20 days after, it can be replayed, and my activities, my language and all of that will be bare before me and the public or the court or anywhere, they would conduct themselves properly. You wouldn't even need extra push. And I'm giving an instance with what happens when, just on the road like this, they're trying to harass someone, then suddenly they see a camera. Some of them will even move away from that point, or they will begin to drag you to enter a corner that the camera may not record everything. So if this can be implemented, attaching body cameras to every officer that is posted, pinpoint anybody who is trying to bring bad image to the police force. And like you said, how would a relationship with the people improve? This is just what will improve the relationship with the people.
Okay,
because once the people
okay, one last one. Aside from body cameras, which we know that in Nigeria, we have whole lots of police personnel, and then if you want to talk to the federal government to even think about providing body cameras for these policemen be sent out on the street to monitor or to patrol, it's going to take a very long while to actually implement that. We know Nigeria and implementing policies and even thinking about such, or let's say it's a bill in the House of Rep or something, and how is it going to even pass the first reading, talk more of second reading? So is there any other way you think their excesses can be checkmated? Just in a minute or two.
Well, personally, I've thought early, and even before we got to this topic in today's show, I've thought about it severally, and this seems to be the, they can start by, let's say, focusing at the checkpoints.
Okay.
All those areas, all those duty posts, all those areas that are somehow designated as checkpoints for police officers. The efficiency of policing in Nigeria, it should be looked at. It should be looked at and possibly implemented, because there's no other way. Just the way we agree that there are so many police officers in the country, there's no other way to monitor them if all these activities.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we've been listening to Dr. Charles Odogu. He's a political analyst and a strategist, and today we've been taking a look at the conduct of police officers all around Nigeria, and of course also x-raying the NSAS protests that took place, monitored when they're out there. I mean, this would help them conduct themselves appropriately, and we'll also commend the IGP of Police, Osman Alkali Baba, for taking such a step to make sure that he not finds out what really happened, and of course punish erring officers accordingly. And this will also serve as a deterrent to other police personnel who may want to tread the same path. So kudos to the IGP for a good, swift move. This is where we close the curtains for today on the program, The Law, the People, and Governance. My name is Rachel David White. Good evening.